Hey everyone, Matt with Triple Locked Adventures. Today, I'm going to do a review on this Badlands jack. I've actually had this for about 2 to 3 weeks now, and I felt like it was time that I finally do a review on it because I've had some time to play with it. Today we're going to go over the features, some of the functions of it, some of the just specs on it overall. We're also going to determine, is this just hype? Because a lot of people have made videos on this, or is this just cheap Chinese junk? So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, what you have in front of you today, this is the 3-ton, which you can probably see on the face there. This is the 3-ton Badlands off-road jack. They do also make a 1.5-ton, which was a more recent release. That is for guys that maybe have a lighter duty vehicle, maybe a UTV, maybe something super light that you're not gonna need a full 3-ton jack. The benefits of something that's the 1.5 ton is that it is obviously a lot more lightweight to carry. This one, as you see it, I have some notes to my right here, is 72.2 pounds. For me to lift it up onto this table, it is not light. But with that said, one of the features that they integrated in this that makes it really easy to work with and handle is, well, handles. So first things first, it comes with a pre-installed nylon handle with really heavy duty brackets on either side. This allows you to pick it up. It's gonna be hard for me to do from this table height, but it is very well, sorry for loud noise, it is very well balanced. So when you pick it up from that handle, it is about a perfect 50-50 weight balance. It allows you to kind of carry it around and not have to, like, you know, if you've moved jacks before, you typically try to grab it by the front axle, maybe the back axle, try not to get your hands in any pinch points when you're doing it. It's always a little sketchy. This has made it super easy. You can just pick it up and carry it everywhere. Another thing you may notice from your view there, if I flip it up, there are 2 large grab handles in the front. Say you need to move it side to side, or even while you're carrying it, just to give you a little extra support. That does make it really nice, and I'll show you guys. It's got those on either side there. So that has made it very easy to move around. There is another function, but we're gonna wait until we get to that actual handle portion at the back to go over that feature. That's also made it easy to use. Another feature that I really like on this is its pretty slim profile. It is relatively tall. Let me look at my notes here. It is 10.5 inches tall total, but it is a minimum lift height of 6.25 inches. So as it sits right now, the minimum you can fit under is 6.25 inches, and that, you know, includes the wheels and everything. So these have these really nice heavy duty off-road wheels, which we'll go over in a second, but it allows you to go down to 6.25. Its maximum lift height, let's see here, if I can write it, 29.1 inch. So there's an accessory that comes with it that I'll show you guys is mounted in the top here. So not only do you have this that jacks up pretty high, but there's this really cool handle. So you, first you undo this latch, and this little latch comes undone, and then there's this really nice little handle here that stops this. It actually screws into this and stops it from rattling. So say you're carrying this around, it comes with a piece that will be hard to show you guys on camera, but this actually lines up onto your jack pad, has screws that screw down into the actual jack pad to stop it from moving around. And you may be asking, oh, I gotta carry a tool. They thought of that. There is a spring-loaded, if you can hear that, there's a spring-loaded holder for said Allen key, and you can tighten down those Allen keys. I'm not gonna do it right now, but you can tighten down those 2 Allen keys, and that is spring-loaded, so you probably not gonna be able to hear it, but it doesn't really make a lot of noise, which is nice. This screws in, and this also has a safety pin on it. You can remove said safety pin, and I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see that on camera or not. There are multiple holes, so the tallest hole is here. As you can see, that gives you an additional, I'd say about 8¼ or maybe 8 inches of height on top of your jack plate. So say you really need to get up under something and really jack it up super high, that's amazing for that. And like I mentioned, it is adjustable. So kind of just like any kind of jack point, you know, you can move it in different positions. And it has a nice safety pin so it's not going to slip out. Added with these bolts, really, really nice. And that's integrated right in. And what I think is super cool is they thought of the details. So not only does that fit on there, but when you lock this into here, these little bolts, which I unthreaded just a hair, so bear with me a second, slide in right up against the face. So when you screw this in, these bolts, I don't know if you can see that there's a little cutout in the side of this. It actually slides right in there. And then with that screwed down, this thing's really not going anywhere. And then it also has the latch as well. So that thing is, you know, right on board. It doesn't interfere with the jack height at all. And it's integrated right on there. I really like that. That's super nice, you know. We've all done it. You've got a normal jack that you've had laying around. It's a 3-ton jack, right? Doesn't have the wheels. That's a whole nother thing we'll go over in a second. But you need to get extra height out of it. What do? You grab a 4x4 or maybe a 2x4 or something you have laying around your shop, right? Hopefully not something that's going to disintegrate. Typically a 4x4 is the go-to, right? A small chunk of 4x4, maybe vertically, not ideal, definitely horizontally. We've all done it. And you jack it up and that gives you an extra, you know, little extra that you need to get the vehicle off the ground just high enough. Say you have like a Jeep or something that's very tall or something that has a lot of suspension travel. A lot of times it is tough to get the vehicle high enough in order to get, like say, your wheels off. Especially with long travel vehicles, that thing is gonna droop out so far, a lot of times it is really hard. So to be able to have this lift height and this jack extension all integrate on this is really, really nice. What other features, guys? So we've talked about those features and that kind of just makes it a jack plus, right? It's like a really nice jack. It is heavy. It is made out of, I think this is aluminum construction. It's real thick aluminum construction. With all that, it is heavy, but what makes it an off-road jack? Well, first thing you guys can see, we have really nice wheels. They are a solid wheel, so there's no air in them or anything like that. It is a solid wheel, and all 4 of them have nice bearings that appear to me to be serviceable. It doesn't mention anything about that, but all the bearings here on all 4 corners, it rolls really nice. So say you're on a terrain, especially any kind of like dirt terrain, you're jacking up, you want to jack perpendicular to your vehicle, and you actually want that jack to be able to move as the vehicle rolls up. You don't want it flying out, but it shouldn't. The idea though is it shouldn't just be stuck in one spot, you know, stuck in the gravel as the vehicle goes up. So having wheels like this is huge. Now, I've seen a lot of people online talk about the tires or the wheels and say, oh, well, they're really just so you can get across the gravel over to the vehicle, which is true. You know, if you've ever tried to drag a normal aluminum or any shop jack across rugged terrain, 1, it makes a boatload of noise, and 2, it's kind of pain. You know, you're dragging a piece of metal across rugged terrain. So yes, the wheels are for that, but I think really the focus here, at least in my opinion, is that it does allow this jack to move like it's supposed to underneath the vehicle when you're jacking, which is amazing. With that said, let me flip this my direction, and I'll show you the bottom of this. This has a flat, plain skid plate across the entire bottom. Hopefully you guys can see that. It is a real flat, just like a vehicle would be. You know, an off-road vehicle is gonna have skid plates all across the whole belly. It's got a nice flat belly. Now, what's that good for? Again, off-road, guys. So say you're in the sand or something thick, mud, anything like that. When you go to jack down this thing, maybe the tires do sink into the ground, but you've got that flat distribution of the weight. It's gonna create its own footprint in order to jack up the vehicle, which is really nice. It also keeps a lot of the dust and dirt and stuff out of all these moving pieces, which is really nice. That's kind of a little added plus. Another thing I wanted to mention that I kind of alluded to in the beginning is the actual handle on the back. There are a few things that I think are really nice touches. Let me grab this handle here. So your typical handle, it's got a removable top piece. That was probably really loud. That goes into 2 sections. As we all know in the shop world, one or both of these sections end up turning into really good breaker bars. I don't think Harbor Freight or Badlands recommends you doing that, but we all know that's what they're used for. Sorry, this is gonna be loud again. Connects together real nice. It has the pad at the bottom, which I find is nice on smaller cars, but most off-road vehicles, I actually kind of feel like there should be a pad up here, because a lot of times, let me see if I can fit this in here, which is worth noting. So when you put this in, it is keyed at the bottom, so it'll key in, and there's actually, if you guys can see this, a really nice knurled piece at the bottom that locks it in. A lot of times you'll see like just like a hex little bolt. It's pretty much just like a hex bolt with a machined down piece on the front. This is actually a knurled piece that you can use with your hands really nicely. So that locks that in. I wouldn't say that's like overly special, but the fact that it has this nice knurled piece, it just feels nice. When you've used a lot of jacks, you're like, smart. Thing I wanted to mention though, the reason I brought this up, you may see, it's gonna be hard for you guys to see here, there's a little handle here. When this handle is in a down position, and they made this so you can use it with your hands or actually your foot, when you pull this down, see how it locked? What this is for is it locks it in that position. You can pick up the handle and you can now wheel around your jack. It's hard to do on my table here. You can wheel around your jack instead of dragging it on all four wheels. This is really nice when you're approaching your vehicle or approaching a scenario. You can kind of move around on the back tires and kind of wheel it and ease it into the spots you need. And then all you have to do is kick up that lever in the back or flick it, and it now functions like a normal handle. I will tell you that the pump action rate on this is not a NASCAR jack. It is slightly slower than my normal jack that I had, but it seems to jack easier. I don't know how to really word that. Let me get this handle out of the way. Let me just air this thing down real quick, and let me get this handle off just so it's not in the video. So, like I was saying, guys, it seems to jack a little bit slower. It takes more pumps to get the vehicle off the ground than my old, I have a Daytona 3-ton, standard low pro jack. That one seems to take less pumps to get the vehicle off the ground, but it really seems like you gotta struggle with it. And I have checked the fluid and made sure that thing is proper. But this one seems to take more pumps, but it does it effortlessly. As you guys know, the vehicle that we use at Triple Act Adventures is a Lexus GX460. That's a fully built out Overland Expedition rig. It is extremely heavy. And this thing can pick up, I can go onto the pumpkin in the rear of the vehicle. I can pick up the entire rear of the vehicle. And yes, you feel that you're picking up a heavy vehicle with, I don't want to name how much weight, but this does it very easily. Obviously being 3 tons though, you're talking about a 6,000 pound weight rating. So 6,000 pounds should be able to pick up a vehicle easier. But I mean to say that because this, for some reason, just feels easier than the other jacks I've used in the past that were 3 tons. I don't know if it's maybe the fulcrum point or maybe the way that the hydraulics are designed. Not sure, but it does work really nice. It's just been a pleasure to use. That handle feature has been a little getting used to because I'm just used to just jacking and like kind of working with a jack. And you just have to like either click this up or down to use it. But I have found you can just, once you're used to it, you just click it with your foot. And it's really nice to have that center point that locks down, because I don't know if I can do it by hand. Being able to move it on those back wheels is really nice. And then you can just kick it up with your foot and then it opens right up, which is super nice. So I've been really happy with that. All the features on this are really nice to have. Let's talk about price though, because price can be a deal breaker. I've got the thing open on the page here just because I wanted to see if there's any sales or anything. As of right now, this jack is $379 for the 3 ton. The 1.5 ton I don't have on my computer. It is obviously less. I think for $379, this is a really, really good value. Now, should you go out and sell your 3 ton jack that you may already have to get one of these? Maybe. If you have lifted vehicles and you do a lot of work on lifted vehicles, especially in off-road terrain, I think it's worth it. I'd probably sell my other jack in that case. In my personal case, I was actually having some issues with my other jack and one of the bolts snapped at the back. Obviously that wasn't affecting the jacking, well, that's a whole different thing. But anyway, I was having issues with other jacks, so it was time to get a new jack, and I just needed to get something. So this was like the next step, you know, like it was worth it for me. Let's put it that way. But if you are in the market for a jack and you don't have a jack, I think this is really great if you have one of those slightly lifted vehicles or something that has big wheels and tires, or maybe a heavy UTV, something along those lines, right? Now, if you have just like a small car or something, is this something you need? You're really gonna have to check that height. If what did I say it was 6 1/4? If 6 1/4 will fit underneath your vehicle and get to your jack point, it's really great. You know, say you live in an area that you only have a gravel driveway or a dirt driveway or something like that. That'd be really nice to have these wheels. It does roll nice. It does, you know, move around really nice. It's a little heavy, but all jacks really are. But if you can get under your vehicle, this would be great. I think if you have any car that's lower than that, obviously this is useless to you because you're not going to be able to get underneath the vehicle if your car is more than 6 1/4 inches off the, or less than 6 1/4 inches off the ground. For $379, I want to say this is normally $399. Bear with me a second. Let me scroll up. No, it is normally $379. I just bought it and I don't remember what I paid for it because I needed it. So $379. Now, what competitors are in the market, you guys might be asking, because say you haven't bought a jack in a little while and you're like, $379, that's crazy, especially for Harbor Freight. I will say the build construction on this is better than what most Harbor Freight stuff is. I don't know if their design team just spent a little extra time or their engineers had a little bit more money to spend on engineering. This is really well built. Like, I've used a lot of jacks over the years, and like high quality ones too, like really expensive jacks. This thing's great. Like, it really is great. And I mentioned that because the really only competitor, I hate saying that because there are some other smaller brands out there that do a really good job on off-road jacks. Really the one that everybody knows about though is the Pro Eagle jacks. The Pro Eagle jack is $220 more than this one. So the Pro Eagle jack is only it's $599, and it's about the same weight. I don't remember the exact specs back and forth, but I want to say their maximum height was less than this one. Obviously the price is a lot more, and this one has, I think, just a little bit more overall features that make it nicer than the Pro Eagle one. Pro Eagle is a really nice jack though. You know, if you're a race team and you can afford the extra money, they are really nice. But for $379, guys, this thing is a monster of a jack. Now, a few of you out there may be asking, this is kind of a little bit of a sidebar, but some of you may be asking, is this something that you would bring with you on a trip? I think so, but you would have to find a way to, what did I say, 72, 78 pounds, whatever it was, 72.2 pounds. It's heavy. Like, this sucks to lug around. You'd have to find somewhere to mount it. You'd have to find somewhere that would lock it in. You'd either have to strap it down something so that it wouldn't roll around, and then maybe you could justify it. It is heavy, so you're carrying a lot of weight, and how often are you gonna need a jack off-road? Probably to change a wheel and a tire or to do some trail repairs. For me, I would highly consider it. If I could find room somewhere in the truck that wasn't intrusive, I would consider bringing this on longer trips. You know, if I was like relatively close to home, which I actually don't tend to do those type of trips, but if I was close to home, I think I would just call a friend, right? But if you were on a long trip and you really knew that you were gonna be out there alone, this would be really nice to have. I have used other jacks like the ARB jack. You guys probably have seen my video on that. Technically speaking, the ARB states that you are not supposed to use that jack to change tires. Everybody does, but it is pretty much a hydraulic farm jack. And even farm jacks, you're not supposed to use to change tires. So I know everybody does, but this would be a lot easier solution to get underneath the vehicle and change a tire. Although those farm style jacks, whether they're hydraulic or mechanical, have a lot more use cases though. So you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what do you need? What are you realistically going to use them for? At the end of the day, it's really a choice. I really needed a jack for around the house, and I think that this had all the features that I would use it for in a lot of different case scenarios. So it kind of was like a buy once, cry once. It'll just work for everything. And in my personal use case, I would like to find a way to integrate this into my build so that I could bring it on the really large expedition trips. Changing a wheel and tire without a nice jack is a real sketchy also pain. So this would be nice to have. With all of that said, there are a few companies out there. You guys can just Google search it. There's a bunch, and I don't have any, particular order of which ones you guys should pick because I haven't bought anything yet. But there are companies that make mounts for these. A lot of times they are a nice aluminum mount that's all welded up that cradles this device, has some nice straps, and a lot of the ones I've seen, the handle gets stored underneath it. So the handles kind of go inside the mount. You split it in half, put them in the mount, they get strapped down, this goes in, it gets strapped down, and it's a nice little package. I've seen that a lot for like the desert running guys. So like the Ford Raptors, and any of these long travel crazy builds, a lot of guys will do the dual tires in the back. They'll have a full bed cage really. Do a setup in the back, maybe a fire extinguisher, all that stuff, the remote reservoirs for their triple bypass shocks blowing through the sides, all that kind of stuff. And then they'll have a nice jack mount somewhere very far back. So they'll have the fuel tank really far back. They'll have the tires back there. They're trying to get all that weight out the back. They'll slap one of these on there. And a lot of those guys, they need a jack to get those 40-inch tires off or 37s, which is somewhere in that range is what they run on those trucks. And you also don't mind having extra weight because one of the issues with desert trucks is a lot of the weight is at the front of the vehicle. So they're always trying to throw that weight over past the back axle so that the thing sits down and squats and rides over the bumps. So all that to say, they do make some mounts out there if you guys are interested in buying something like this to use on your expedition or overland rig. I will say though, if you can get away with a 1.5 ton, probably a little bit easier to package and a lot lighter. So that's something to consider. In my case, my vehicle is so heavy and the areas in which I would need to change a tire, like I'm lifting a significant amount of weight of the vehicle, so I need a 3 ton. A 1.5 ton will not get the vehicle off the ground. I might be able to get one of the fronts off the ground, but the back definitely not. So that's all we really got today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know a lot of people have done reviews on these. There's a few reviews outlined of people actually showing them in use. It's a jack, guys. It jacks up stuff, but it has a lot of nice features that are integrated in. Let me know what you thought of this. I really like it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you considering buying one? Have you already bought one? Let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys had a good 4th of July weekend. I know this is a holiday weekend and we're still posting a video, but I wanted to get something out there for you guys. Hopefully, if you guys have been following the channel, hopefully the truck will be done soon. I got some new bushings in for the front end. I found out I had a ball joint broke in the front, or loose in the front. So I'm parking it for a minute until I can get my lower control arms on there. And we're gonna get the truck dialed in. We're gonna do some camping and some wheeling soon. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, click like, click subscribe, throw some comments below. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.